Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to talk about evangelical Christian and how, in my opinion, they are the extremists of the West. I consider them the ISIS of the West because I feel like anybody who uses the religious book, the Bible or the Quran, whatever, the Torah or whatever, to justify stealing properties, stealing people's land, burning of farms, and to take the life of women and children are extremists, in my opinion. They are no different than ISIS. So today we are going to focus on that. And if you are new to this channel, welcome to my channel and please do like and subscribe. I cover a lot on international politics issues. And so let's get started. So today I'm going to start my video by providing commentary on a documentary produced by Al Jazeera. It's about how evangelical Christian influenced US foreign policy in the Middle East. So let's get started. Those coward individuals will find a life. Quit picking on the people that defend your sorry loser.
Military Religious Freedom Foundation, and he's worked for the last 2 decades shining a light on religious fundamentalist influence within the military. This is kind of a shadow war.
I come from a military family. My dad went to the Naval Academy, so I applied for it, got into all three of the military academies. The Cadet HAP, the Air Force Academy. Yes, they are freighted with terror. They are terrified of reprisal, revenge, retaliation. We're closing in on 76,000 U.S. Marines that are clients of ours, and about 95% of them are Christians themselves, being dehumanized and marginalized for not being Christian enough.
The military ministry of crew.
First of all, what does it mean by not being Christian enough? Does that mean that you have to go to the Middle East, you have to go to war with the Middle East to prove that you are Christian enough? I mean, like, that alone is just absurd.
Only does three things, really. We win people to Christ, we build them up in their faith, and we send them out into the world to do the same thing.
There are probably 36 parachurch organizations, some of them well-known, like Campus Crusade for Christ Military Ministries, Focus on the Family, Officers Christian Fellowship, that are incredibly involved in the military. They have offices on military bases. They have senior military officials. We call those fundamentalist Christians or Dominion Christians. The Seven Mountains Mandate, the New Apostolic Reformation. Their job is to transform the military and the militaries of the world into this version of this weaponized Christianity. Jerry Boykin, former three-star general, made it clear that when Jesus comes back, he'll be carrying an AR-15. It's not a veneer. I mean, these are true believers.
The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. And in Revelation 19, it says when he comes back, he's coming back as a warrior, riding a white horse with a blood-stained white robe, carrying a sword. And I believe that sword he'll be carrying when he comes back is an AR-15.
You know, in the media, we've seen images of crusader symbols, of Christian symbols, of units deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan.
We had 138 U.S. Marines that came to us in Helmand province in Afghanistan. They were walking into the villages out there, and the village elders, most of them hadn't even heard of 9/11, but they'd heard of what I ended up calling the Jesus rifle. A company called Trijicon, based out of Michigan. They had about a $2 billion contract to make rifle scopes for our military. On the scopes, if you look closely, were biblical citations from the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Revelation. It was burned into the scope. Now think of the optics of American soldiers shooting Muslims in Afghanistan through the scopes that have the New Testament citations.
You see, this is the problem I have with the West. I mean, like, the irony of you saying that the Middle East are just people who are backwards, they are extremists and so on. I mean, like, yeah, maybe that's true. I'm sure it's true. But the irony of you saying that while you at the same time build an army that is radicalized to begin with. I mean, like, you have a verse of the Bible on the rifle. I mean, like, how is that not the same as, let's say, someone from ISIS? I don't get it. Anyway, let's continue.
These are Air Force fighters that can carry nuclear weapons. Complete Crusader iconography, complete with the helmet, the three cross-shaped stars, of course, the sword and the crucifix. All stuff like this does is completely motivate the recruiting efforts of Boko Haram, Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, ISIS, the Mujahideen, and the Taliban.
Exactly. I mean, like, when you preemptively strike someone, you're gonna have to expect some sort of retaliation at some point, right? I mean, like, if you're gonna continue to muddle up the Middle Eastern relations and get involved in their politics, then you're gonna have to expect retaliation at some point. And when people retaliate, you can't complain then, right? I mean, it's just common sense. Anyway, let's continue.
How do they refer to America? The Crusaders. This doesn't help.
Uh, 1 second. Sorry for the ads.
Absolutely perfect stage. In the history.
Okay, pay attention to this. This guy is one of the leaders of evangelical Christians. I just want you to pay attention to this.
Never in the history of the world have all the players been on the stage. Iran, Russia, China, Europe, America. Everything is absolutely perfect. The final battle for global supremacy will be the mother of all wars at Armageddon.
I mean, like, first of all, why is he speaking as if he was giddy? Giddy with the prospect of mother of all wars. I mean, like, you should be striving for peace. Anyway, let's continue.
There are the extreme Islamic Armageddon lobby that believe in a final conflict between Islam and everyone else. And then there is the Armageddon lobby of American evangelicals. Evangelical American voters in the Republican Party want a final conflict with all other religions, all other political points of view. They see it as us versus them, true Christians versus everyone else.
Nation shall rise up against nation. And as we see these things increase in intensity and frequency, we can know that the Lord is going to return.
We don't want peace, we being evangelicals. We want Armageddon. Bring it on. Their view of Zionism is not going to either help Israel or any individual Jew. Their view of Zionism is apocalyptic.
So basically, these people, they were never ending wars. The idea that you were never ending wars and that's supposed to be the right thing to do according to your religion is absurd to begin with. I mean, like, do you honestly think that God wants this to happen? Do you honestly think that God wants you to continue to go to war, kill people, take the life of women and children, steal people's property, burn their lands? Do you think that's justifiable? Is that the teaching of Jesus? What about love thy neighbors? Have that all been thrown to the gutter? Anyway, let's continue.
So when Israel is finally attacked by, say, a nuclear armed Iran, that suits the Christians fine. It's exactly what they're prophesying. Then we'll have a big last battle. Jesus comes back, and we're all going to heaven.
Are you listening, Iran? Are you listening, Russia?
Like, what makes you think that you're going to heaven? You know, when you support an extremist government, you're not going to heaven. I mean, like, it's just common sense, you know? If you support continue going to war non-stop, you're not going to heaven. See, Jesus is going to send you to hell. I mean, like, that's just my common sense speaking. I feel like killing people is wrong. But I don't know, maybe that's what your religion teach. I don't know.
God's gonna wipe you out.
And by the way, I'm not attacking all Christian. I'm fine with uh, other sects. I mean, like, I'm okay with Orthodox Christian and Catholic Christian, Protestantism, and so on. I just don't like evangelicals. I think they are the real extremists of the West.
The scary thing is we are armed with the largest and most powerful military on Earth and thousands of nuclear weapons. And so when you put Armageddon lobby together with American power, it's a different deal.
I think that's it for this documentary. I also want to show you what Israeli settlers are doing in West Bank. Now, in case you guys don't know about one of the teachings of evangelical Christian is that they believe that the Jews are God's chosen people, and they believe that the current Israelis are actually God's chosen people. Whether the current Israelis are really God's chosen people or not, that's up for debate. You know, some people are saying that they truly are the Semitic people from the Middle East who migrated to Europe and blah blah blah. But there are also many research that already debunked they are not the real Semitic people from the Middle East. They have always been Europeans who later converted to Judaism. But anyway, that's besides the point today. Okay, I just want to see that this is supposedly the God's chosen people that they want to protect so much. So let's play.
It takes just seconds for Israeli settlers to upend another Palestinian family's lives, and these attacks have been going on for decades. But since the war on Gaza, they've become more brazen and not shy about owning up to their crimes. Revenge. Hide from the hilltop youth, the Hebrew graffiti says. That's what the settlers often call themselves.
You don't know where to look. They were throwing stones, Molotov cocktails, and explosives. When they hit, the car catches fire instantly. These revenge gangs have spread throughout the West Bank.
The Israeli military was on the scene after this attack on Thursday night in Brukin in the occupied West Bank. But as is typical in attacks like this, the Israeli perpetrators are rarely brought to justice. Further south, earlier the same day, more settlers have set up a new outpost. Their tactic is to intimidate the Palestinians living nearby. It works.
The settlers attacked us. We want to leave and save our lives, our livestock, and our children, and get away from them.
I mean, like, this is ethnic cleansing, and you can argue about that. I mean, like, this is definitely the definition of ethnic cleansing, and somehow people support it. Tens of millions of evangelical Christians in America. That's just America, by the way. There's huge evangelical following in Brazil, I believe, and some in Europe and the Philippines. And people support what is we call as ethnic cleansing. I mean, I can't believe it. But anyway,
What these
I also want to show you this. I mean, like, This old man. 1 second. Let us play first.
احنا من 70 سنه ما شفناش هذا الشيء. 70 سنه ما شفنا مثل هذا الشيء. خذوا الرزق وخذوا كل شيء. خلوا الناس يشي. خلوا الناس يشي من مره. خربوا بيتنا. ربي يحرقوا لي. زاد عن ذلك المطورة ونزلكوا مطورة ترمبة الرش. حبسونا من الساعة 12 بالليل تروحنا. الساعة 12 بالليل تعرفنا نطلع.
I mean, like, how can you not feel heartbroken over this old man, this grandpa? Even if you want to settle in the West Bank, which by the way is illegal according to international law, even if you want to settle that in West Bank, why do you have to destroy his farm? It's just evil. And people are supporting this. I mean, like, this is supposed to be God's chosen people. And this is another, this thing sicken me. I mean, like, this is demonic to me. Thanks to Jeff Epstein X account, by the way. Sorry. By the way, this is not to be confused with the real Jeffrey Epstein. He's supposedly dead, but this is just a parody account. But anyway, they're spraying sewage water on homes in the West Bank. I mean, like, this is absurd. This is unacceptable. And you know, they've been saying that, oh, because Hamas, because of October 7 and blah blah blah, so they have a justification to bomb Gaza out of into oblivion. You know, carpet bomb Gaza. There's nothing left in Gaza. So they're using that excuse, and then they said Hamas using human shield and blah blah blah. But this is West Bank. Why are you doing this to people of the West Bank? They have nothing to do with Hamas. And I know some Israelis, they're gonna say, oh, they're Palestinian, they're the same as the people in Gaza. They probably support Hamas and blah blah blah. So by that logic, let's say if America attacks Mexico and then Mexico retaliates and then attacks America, and then they also attack Canada because they say, oh, Canadians are also Anglo-Americans, they are the same people. Is that justifiable to you? I mean, like, maybe it's justifiable to attack Americans, but is it justifiable to attack Canadians who has nothing to do with the war between US and Mexico, hypothetically, if that were to happen? It isn't, right? So why are these people attacking people in the West Bank? Anyway, let's move on to this. This one, another farmer's attack, but this one I want to people to pay attention to.
Let's go! Let's go! يلا خوها خوها
First of all, that old lady, she's not even terrified. She didn't even flinch. So you can't even intimidate an old lady. That's laughable. Secondly, if I at that age were to talk to an old lady in that manners, my parents would beat the shit out of me. I mean, like, the entitlement at that age to think that, oh, this is my land, so you need to get out of your house. I mean, like, I cannot even process the thinking. And the way that the Israeli government are saying that, oh, Hamas is teaching the youth to kill all the Jews and so on. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe it's true. I haven't seen any video anyway. But maybe, let's say for the sake of argument that is true. What about this? I mean, like, this is a little kid who has been radicalized, right? I mean, like, there's always two sides of the story at the end of the day. And the other side of the story doesn't look that much better either. And then I also want to highlight this research. This is from Brown University, by the way. There's this research that has said that in the West Bank, 1,048 people have been killed and 10,320 people injured from 7 October 2023 to 3 October 2025 by direct violence. Again, why are they killing people in West Bank? Hmm? There's no justification for attacking for the attack in West Bank. And then there's also this guy, this idiot, Glenn Beck. I mean, like, he tried to make the argument that let's play first.
Can I ask you a question? Would we be having this debate in this way if Hamas would have done to England what they did to Israel? Would we be having this debate? Because I don't think we would. I think America would be over there. I think the whole world would be over there, and we'd pound them into sand.
Like, first of all, why would Hamas want to attack the UK? They have no desire for that. Hamas is only doing this as a resistance because the Israelis have been stealing Palestinian land for decades. I mean, like, right now, the UK is not stealing people's properties. They're not spraying feces to people's homes. They're not destroying people's farms. So, if they eventually do that, then people should be having conversation about that. People should lambast the UK government. I mean, like, you should debate on whether to support the government or not. I mean, if it's up to me, it shouldn't even be a debate. I mean, like, if they want to act like a pariah state, then they can go ahead and defend themselves. I don't know what this guy is talking about. He's ridiculous. And then I just want to share another video. This is a Q&A session, by the way, at a TPUSA event. He was giving talks, and at the end there was a Q&A session with this kid, and the answer he gave is absolutely ridiculous. The kid was asking him about why we should support USA and blah blah blah. Anyway.
Let's see.
Sorry.
Israel has a lobby, yes. And you know who has a bigger lobby all around the world? The United States of America. It is in each country's best interest to lobby. Don't blame Israel. Blame our own politicians if they act upon it outside of the United States' interest.
Excuse me? So basically you're saying is blame the person that takes the bribe, but do not blame people who provides the bribe. Huh? I mean, like, am I the only one who thinks that's ridiculous? Like, for example, if Jeff Bezos provide a bribe to the politician, blame the politician but don't blame Jeff Bezos. The politician should go to jail, but Jeff Bezos shouldn't go to jail. That's his logic. I mean, like, it's laughable at this point. Anyway.
Because I can tell you, we're lobbying everybody else. And they will...
Okay, fine, you want to use the argument. Lobby happens all the time in all countries and blah blah blah. But if you go to war on behalf of them because they lobbied you, then you're an idiot. I mean, like, your country is going bankrupt because a foreign government is lobbying on your behalf, on your country's behalf, on your policies, country's policies, to go to war on their behalf. And you're okay with that? Anyway, let's continue playing.
Could I answer my question? Could I answer your question, please? First of all, I'm an American. First and always.
Oh my god. Add again. 1 second.
But it is a global system of people trying to take down the West. They are trying to just hold your peace for a minute. This is why I say, surely, I can't do this. What is happening is we have Islamists occupying our countries. The next
First of all, Islamists occupying your country, you're talking about a population that is only 1% of Americans. And most Muslims in America are poor anyway. I mean, like, what influence do they have over America? Whatever influence they have in America is very limited. So he's talking nonsense. And mass migration of Arabs into the US is impossible because of the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, like, there's no threat of Islamists in America. It is all just brainwashed into your brain, thinking that, oh, Islam is a threat. We must always go to war with them. I'm so sick of it. I mean, like, we are on the verge of World War III. Okay, why do America always have to be threatened by everybody? If it's not Russia, it's China. If it's not China, it's North Korea. If it's not North Korea, it's the Islamists, it's Iran. I mean, like, why do you have to always have an enemy? If you are making an enemy out of everybody, then maybe those people are not the problem. Maybe you are the problem to begin with. You have no idea of diplomacy. You have no concept of the idea of diplomacy at all. And then I know some people are going to say, oh, you cannot negotiate with the Muslim and blah, blah, blah. Do you guys remember that a few days before Charlie Kirk was shot, there was a peace negotiation, not a peace negotiation, but a ceasefire between Hamas and America in Qatar, and Israel bombed it. There was a peace negotiation between Iran and the US, and Israel bombed their country, which halted negotiation after that. So who is the aggressor actually? And Israel is making Trump look like an idiot. I'm sorry, it's the truth. Anyway.
next war that you will face. You know what our first foreign war was? Against the Barbary pirates.
Yeah, he's going to talk nonsense. I'm not even going to play that part. But he was saying that Islamics is taking over the West and blah blah blah. When you bomb those countries, when you support rebels, when you sell weapons to rebels, what do you think the results will be? You're gonna create a refugee crisis. They're gonna come to your country. And please don't tell me, well, why don't the Muslim countries take them? First of all, Saudi Arabia already taken millions of refugees from Palestinian, Syrians, Iraqians, whatever. Jordan has already taken millions of Palestinians. Half of Jordanian populations are Palestinians. Turkey has already, I believe, is last time I checked, it was 4 or 5 million, 4 to 5 million. How much more do you want them to take? And if they refuse to take these refugees, you can't blame them because they didn't cause this war. And to be honest, Europe didn't cause this war too. Most European countries. some European countries just meddle with Middle Eastern politics. And they were also partly to blame for the wars. But most European countries like Ireland, they have nothing to do with this. You know, why should they take refugees? They all should be sent to America or to England or to France. You know, you people love to support the rebels and cause civil wars. And now Syria has been carpet bombed. You know, there's nothing left in Syria as well as Gaza. So you take it. If you don't want refugees, if you don't want Islamists takeover of the West, stop bombing people. It's that simple. You know what? I'm not gonna say that Muslims are not being problematic in Europe. They certainly are. But nobody has to go to Europe to begin with if you didn't bomb them. I think it would be best if everybody just stay where they are. And you can't do that when you yourself create all the distractions. So you should compensate that in whatever ways you can. I mean, like the argument he make is that, oh, because this is going to be a problem, Islam is going to take over the West, blah blah blah. But you yourself are being problematic. You yourself attack them. So actually, who is destroying cultures? Is it the Islamists destroying cultures, or is it the West who actually not even destroying cultures in the Middle East, literally just bombing people into oblivion? Which one is worse? Hmm? And then I love the fact that America is so quick to go to war with Iraq, Afghanistan, so quick to support all these rebels in Syria, you know, in Libya, toppling their governments and so on. But you guys are very careful with the Chinese, very careful with the Russian, with the North Korean. Why? Because they have nuclear weapons? Because they are much stronger nations? Is that why you don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? Because you want to intimidate them? You see, you're just a bunch of cowards. You see, you only want to bully the weak nations. And also, this might not be specifically targeting Glenn Beck. I'm not sure what his view on this, but what I don't understand about these evangelical Christians is that they were never ending wars. But most of them, they don't want to send their kids to the battlefield. Mm-mm. They don't. I mean, like some, I guess, probably a lot of evangelists send their kids to the battlefield, or maybe they themselves go to the battlefield, you know. But I believe a lot also did not send their kids to the battlefield, and they themselves has never served in the army. So you want other people to die for your cause, but you're not willing to do it. I mean, like, I don't like ISIS. I don't like Boko Haram, or I don't like Al Qaeda. But at least I have some respect for the soldiers. They're willing to die for their cause. Okay, they're not making anybody else die on behalf of them. It's okay for other people to die so long as it's not you or your children. I mean, like, if you want to die for if you want wars for religion, then you must be willing to fight it. Then go ahead and register for the US Army and go and volunteer to no, not really to volunteer for the US Army. Go and volunteer to the IDF since you love Israel so much. Go ahead and do it. I dare you. What's stopping you from doing it? Hmm? If you truly believe in fighting a good cause, then go ahead and do it. Go and defend Israel to the last of your to the last breath, to your last breath. And also, many people has already warned America not to intervene with Syria, not to intervene with Libya, not to intervene with Iraq, not to go to war with them, not to topple their government, support their rebels and blah blah blah. You know, the US always say, oh, it's going to make the Middle East so much better, that we're going to install democracy and whatever. If you truly believe in installing democracy, then why don't you go and install democracy in China? There are 1.4 billion people there who is living in a communist political system. Hmm? Don't you think it will be so much better to help 1.4 billion people as opposed to, I don't know, 6 million people in Syria? Make it make sense. Why aren't you doing it in China? Because what? Because China is so much stronger than Syria or Iraq or Libya. Or maybe because Benjamin Netanyahu went to Congress, I don't know, 15 to 20 years ago, and said, oh, he wants this country, and this country, Iraq, Libya, and Syria, and blah, blah, blah. They want the government to be toppled. And that's exactly what happened. What Benjamin Netanyahu wants, Bibi gets. He has the entire Congress. Okay? And I know people are going to say, oh, Qatar has so much influence in America. Like, first of all, Qatar has just announced investment hundreds of billions of dollars in America. That is something that Israel can only dream of doing. You know, providing, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of jobs in America, probably. You know, so if they really influence America, at least there is a reward you can see. At least there's a tangible reward. But what's the reward for helping Israel? You got nothing. You got never-ending wars, trillions of dollars wasted on wars built based on lies. You know, you have such terrible problems in America right now. Homelessness, drug problems, and so on. Instead of you go to war with Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria, and blah blah blah, why don't you go to war with the drug cartels in Mexico? They are the real threat to America. Iraq or Syria is not a threat to America. You know, go to war with the cartels in Latin America. Everything will be immediately, America will be drug free. But no, we have to do what Israel says. So Glenn Beck is an idiot when he said that, oh, I am America first. No, you're not. If you're America first, you would advocate for America to go to war with the drug cartels in Mexico instead of going to war with, I don't know, Iraq, which you used to support, by the way. And what disappoints me the most is when they toppled the Assad government in Syria. Assad was being fair to the minorities in Syria, especially to the Christians and the Jews and the Alawites and so on. He was being fair to them, and under Assad, the economy was booming. Syria was growing pretty quickly. You know, it was a functioning country. But then, of course, Israel has a problem with it. Israel doesn't like it when their neighbors are strong. If they don't conform to Israel's foreign policies and they become strong, Israel doesn't like it. And Israel wants them to go down. And what did America do? They become Israel's loyal puppet. They support the rebels, you know. And people are saying, oh, Assad was so violent with the rebel and so on and blah, blah, blah. Like the moment he took over the leadership in Syria, if I'm not mistaken, he has as much as 12 rebel groups that wants him out. And these are not just the normal, like, Democrat versus Republicans, you know. Those type of political scenario is harmless. by and large is harmless. These are very extremist groups. It's like, for example, China funding KKK or funding the BLM, sending them weapons to topple the Trump government right now. Do you think that Trump will be like, oh, let's have a negotiation, you know, let's be very peaceful? Of course not. Of course, Trump will send the army to destroy the KKK and the BLM that is being funded by China, right? So we are trying to vilify Assad as if his actions are so, what we call, so horrible, when to me probably he probably was cruel at some point, but given the situation that he was in, to a large extent, I think it's justifiable. And what happens immediately after Assad government was toppled? Immediately they go ahead and persecute the Christian and the Alawites, just like what we all have been predicted. And they put this guy Jolani, who is probably previously the one of the top leaders of Al Qaeda. I mean, like, are people forgetting that we were supposed to hate the Al Qaeda previously? Are we supposed to forget that Al Qaeda was supposedly dangerous a few decades ago? But now suddenly, oh, it's okay. Previously he was from Al Qaeda. Now he is a reborn man, I guess. He has differing views. Like, bullshit. What America is doing right now is putting all their puppet in the Middle East, you know, so that nobody would ever go against America anymore. Just put their loyal puppets in there. And then, to me, they purposely put the most extreme guy to lead the country because what? Because then the Christian will be like, oh, look at what they did to Christians. You see? Look how extreme this Muslim is. But who put them there to begin with? Hmm? When we all told, do not topple the Assad government. So, this whole thing, blaming Islamists and so on, sometimes before you blame other people, you need to look at your own self-reflection first. Okay? And sometimes you need to identify what is the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem is Israel, whether you want to admit it or not. Okay? When you artificially create a country based on the Bible, you're gonna create a lot of problems. I mean, like, just the idea that you can artificially create a country, a border based on the Bible is ridiculous to begin with. I mean, like, I can basically produce any book and say, oh, this book actually has existed for thousands of years, but it hasn't been discovered. Recently, it was discovered, and actually, your house is the site of my great grandparents. So now you need to give me your house key and get out of your house. That's how ridiculous the argument that, oh, this is God's chosen people, this is their land, and so on. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I've been talking for way too long. So I think that's it for today. If you do enjoy my video, please consider subscribing, and please like the video, leave some comments, and if you also want to give me suggestion on how to improve my channel, I welcome criticism and suggestion. Okay, so thank you. Goodbye, everybody.